confident one.
Good morning, Judge. Welcome to the blinding lights. Finding out what you mean when you say that you would apply the natural law philosophy to the Constitution is, in my view, the single most important task of this committee.
Senator Biden was very focused on natural law. How did that go?
Who knows? I have no idea what he was talking about.
I just want to make sure we all know what we're talking about here, that you and I know at least what we're talking about here. There's a fervent and aggressive school of thought that wishes to see natural law further inform the Constitution than it does now, argued against by the positivists led by Judge Bork. Now again, that may be lost on all the people. You know and I know what we're talking about.
I have to be perfectly honest with you. You sit there and you have no idea what they are talking about. All I know is that he was asking me these questions about natural law.
Someone may apply it in a way, like Moore, who leads him in a direction that is, quote, liberal. You may apply it in a way that leads you in a direction that's conservative. Or you may, like many argue, not apply it at all. But it is a fundamental question that is going to be almost impossible for non-lawyers to grasp in an exchange. But you know and I know it is a big, big deal. And in conclusion,
one of the things you do in hearings is you have to sit there and look attentively at people you know have no idea what they're talking about.
Biden represents the feeling wing of America. So the facts don't matter. I mean, a little bit like AOC. I mean, she represents the hysterically feeling wing of America. And that among their people, facts don't matter. So the fact, people forget the first time Biden collapsed, he ran and he had this wonderful emotional speech about his childhood and growing up in a small town. It turned out it was Neil Kinnock's speech as a labor leader about Wales. Now, a guy who's from Scranton, representing Delaware, describing himself in terms of a Welsh village, this was back when the news media still had some sense of covering fact. I mean, the news media destroyed him. They just said, this is crazy. One of the failures of my career, I'm watching the Palin-Biden debate, which is available online. People can check the transcript. And Biden says at one point, if you really want to understand the middle class, I want you to come to Katie's restaurant on Saturday morning where I go all the time. Well, in the back of my head, that didn't ring right, so I called a friend in Wilmington and said, when did Katie's close? Well, Katie's closed 13 years before he said that. So I called the McCain campaign, and this tells you a lot about why Republicans lose and why Trump's different than normal Republicans. I called the McCain campaign, I said, put her on an airplane tonight. Fly into Wilmington with the National Press Corps. Go looking for Katie's. And it'll tell you this guy's a doofus. And that's the danger that he would have as president. This is a man so shallow and so lacking in seriousness. You know, Bob Gates, the Secretary of Defense for both Obama and Bush, wrote in his memoir that for 4 decades, Biden has been consistently wrong on every major national security issue. Now, I mean, Gates is sort of a bureaucrat. He's not an ideologue. But that should sober people. Do you really want a guy as president who's been wrong for 4 decades on every major national security issue?
What do you think will happen in November?
Oh, politics is very tough to predict.
Biden is a doofus, all right, and so has every president, all right, from a while that they've inaugurated and elected into office has been one, showing you that the Lord is showing you, all right, that the wisdom of Esau is completely gone. It's bugged out. And what the Heavenly Father is doing is he's actively destroying and taking down Babylon. Hence, Biden is a doofus. And he clearly is. All right, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Harakah Kadash, double honors to the elders and the apostles, peace, love, and salutations to the Bayaf Tawadat House of David. Reverend Brother Zion out of GMS Boston. Once again, here on my channel, Lord willing, through the Spirit. All right, this is edifying. This guy was... Going into natural law, all right. I got the definition here: is a body of unchanging moral principles regarded as the basis of all human conduct. All right, and there's something also that's called natural selection. Let me see if this.
Check out these pictures. Here's the definition of natural selection: the process whereby organisms better adapted to their environment tend to survive and produce more offspring. The theory of its action was first fully expounded by Charles Darwin and is now believed to be the main process that brings about evolution.
Wow, imagine that, huh? Charles Darwinism. All right, and he was a major proponent for, basically killing blacks. All right, killing blacks, birth control, abortion clinics. All right, forced sterilization, primarily upon the Latin tribes. All right, but Jake, in its whole, and then when you look up the definition of natural selection, it's the process whereby organisms better adapt to their environment, tend to survive, and to produce more offspring. All right, and man, you see, I did a show early on how there are more Edomites that are dying. That's natural selection. That's natural selection, man. That's the Heavenly Father doing what He does. Go to the scriptures. So the Lord is the Lord is working, man. Right? He's taking the wisdom right out of Teman, just like He said He would. Obadiah chapter 1, verse 9. It's like 8. Shall I not in that day, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom and the understanding out of Mount of Esau? Yeah, the understanding of Esau is being destroyed, man. The wise men, all out of this nation, I think over 350 million citizens. Joseph Biden is the one, the smartest guy that they could lead. Chose to lead, to bring this nation out of its calamity. The guy with amnesia, the guy that won't stand on one principle. He's talking about standing on principles and naturally, but this guy won't stand on anything, man. He'll say just about anything, to anybody that'll feel right. All right. It says, and the mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed, and at the end that every one of Mount Esau should be cut off by slaughter. All right. So the Lord is destroying these people, man. He's clearly bringing them down. I think it's Job. Let me see if I can find this real quick. This is the book of Job 30, I believe. Yeah, okay. It says Job 30:1. But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would not disdain to have set with the dogs of my flock. And that's the position that we're in now. That's what we're trying to come out of. All right, that the people that are younger than us have us in derision. Like, you gotta sometimes think and let reality sit in that these people, this guy is ruling over you. Joseph R. Biden. All right, he's ruling over you. That's just the reality. That's just the fact of the matter, right? Yeah, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished. Yeah, the stronger they get, the weaker we're gonna get, right? The weaker they get, the stronger we get. All right, we're down because they're up. We're oppressed because they're in power. That's just how it goes. That's just the reality of it, The wisdom of this world is foolishness because this world has been given into the hands of the wicked. All right, and the people that are in power, they're foolish. So in turn, what they're going to do is they're going to make the wisdom and knowledge, the foolishness, prestige. Why? Because they're fools. They don't believe in the Heavenly Father. All right, so they got to come up with their own philosophy. They got to come up with their own wayward doctrine. That's why, in this world to be successful, you got to go to Harvard. You got to go to Yale. And these schools are actively trying to figure out how to blot out the sun. Picture that. Again, going into what? The foolishness of this place. All right. For want and famine, they were solidarity, fleeing into the wilderness in former times, desolate and waste. Who cut up mallows by bushes and Jupiter roots for their meat. They were driven forth among men. They cried after them as after a thief. The so-called white man was pushed, really, going into the Amalekites, were pushed away from the nations where they were at. Nobody wanted them around. Starting with the Amalekites, these fake Jews. Every nation they got kicked out of. They're troublemakers. Right? It says, they were driven forth among men. They cried after him as a thief. Yeah, that's what they do. They suck up your nation's national resources. All right? They try to steal. They try to manipulate your media. They try to get in your banking system, your school and education, your judicial system. All right? So they could be leeches and suck the blood out of your country. Right? To dwell in the clefts of the valleys and caves of the earth and in the rocks. That's the reason why, hence Caucasians. That's the reason why they call Caucasians, because they're cave dwellers. Alright, that's what a Caucasian is a cave dweller, an Edomite. They dwelt in Mount Seir and Mount Petra. That's their original home. Alright. They were children of fools, yea, children of base men. They were violent in the earth. And Biden's of children. He's a fool, he's a pedophile freak. I've done plenty of lessons of him, molesting children, in front of everybody, touching children. They're all part of that. You could look up Pizzagate. They're all freaks, man. They're all vile. They're all outside the temple, which that word profane means to be what? Outside the temple. Esau sold his birthright for a morsel of meat. All right, he's profane, impatient, dusty, and dirty. All right, and that's the nature of the so-called white man. All right, a nation of fools. It says, I think that's Daniel chapter 4 verse 17. It says, this matter is by the decree of the watchers and demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and set up over it the bases of men. And who's the bases of men? Esau. He's a base man. Alright, so the Most High is showing the world, look, I could set this base man, this Edomite, the so-called white man, the worst of the worst, the despised, alright, over you. And that's exactly what he did. That's why Obadiah, it says 1 and 2, it says, I behold, I have made thee small amongst the heathen, thou greatly despised. The pride of thy heart have deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks, whose habitation is high, and saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest amongst the stars, thence when I bring thee down, saith the Lord. So going back into about the 60s, that's why I just watched a show Elder Adama did, and he mentioned about, how the past 30, 40 years, the presidents have been nothing but a bunch of doofuses. And that's cohesive with the scriptures, because the scriptures say ever since they went into heaven, which was about the 60s, really, you could probably, Kennedy was probably like the last sincere, president. The last sincere president that really meant good for this country. The rest of them were just a bunch of sellouts. Reagan, Daddy Bush, all right, George W. Bush was a dummy. Donald Trump was a doofus. All right, Joe Biden a doofus. All right. So the Heavenly Father is just rocking this place to its core, shaking this place to its core, man. That's what the Heavenly Father is doing. Shalom.